Hello, thanks for jumping on to our webinar today. Our webinar is talking about getting the most out of WorkMax. We'll be able to go through different areas in WorkMax, let you know all of the things that WorkMax makes available to you with the different areas and different modules that are available in WorkMax. As well as dig into some of the details on certain areas and how to use certain things that might be beneficial to you. As we go throughout this webinar, if you do have questions, please either type those into the chat or the question area here in the webinar, and then we'll be able to answer all of those either as we go throughout or even more likely at the end of this webinar. My name is Spencer Pope. I am a regional sales manager here with WorkMax. I've been doing this for over 4 years with WorkMax and helped many customers. One of my passions is really helping customers to be more profitable and to make more money through the use of technology and really taking advantage of that technology to make things work better for you in your organizations. So WorkMax is a full suite of different modules that can really help you make your business run more smoothly as well as more efficiently and help you make more money. It's all about total project visibility to see everything from time and attendance for payroll and for job costing purposes, to dig into all of the details of what's going on in the field by being able to review things like daily reports, expense report reimbursements, change orders, incidents, observations, anything that's coming from the field, as well as being able to track your equipment and assets, where your equipment and assets are physically located, as well as tracking information about them, like usage. And so you can see how much your equipment is being used, if something might need to be replaced, or if you're frequently renting equipment where it might be much more valuable for you to purchase that equipment and save you a lot of money. Also, one of the huge things that people love WorkMax for is the ability to track productivity and progress and to look at things like estimated versus actual. I want to dig into in this webinar a little bit more about how we do that with WorkMax and how it's easy to be able to track that data from the field, even using the WorkMax mobile app. We won't go into a lot of detail about time or tracking time in WorkMax. I think most people who are using WorkMax at this time are using it to track time and capture data surrounding payroll in the field. I just wanted to cover a few little things in the mobile app that might be beneficial for your organization when we're talking about time tracking in the WorkMax mobile app. I'm gonna pull my share from my cell phone over on this screen so you can see it. This is my cell phone live here. If you notice in the upper right-hand corner, there is the 3-line or hamburger menu. As I select that, I can select the settings there. You'll also notice here that you can select supporting or the training center. Under the training center, we have things like videos that walk through the individual processes of using the different ways of capturing data in WorkMax. That might be valuable for your organization for training. Also under our settings here, you'll notice there's a couple of different options here. If your employees frequently work on the same jobs over and over every day, you can have it just automatically remember the same job that they were working on if you turn on that setting. Also, I always recommend that you turn on auto pull sync. That means as soon as the app is open, it will go out and try to pull any new data that has been updated in your WorkMax app that may have come from your accounting system. One that I really love to use and makes it really easy for the guys in the field to select the appropriate job is if you look under lists here, you'll see it shows nearby jobs. If you turn that on, when you go out to select a job in WorkMax, whether that's selecting it for the device at the beginning or changing between jobs, WorkMax will use GPS location then to select the closest job. For example, as I have that turned on for this employee, as I go into pin into this employee, hit clock in and select the appropriate job, you'll notice that this is now sorted by what GPS location is closest by. And I'll just be able to easily select that job there. Again, if you have any questions, please do put it in our questions or our chat area, and I'll be able to address those at least by the end of this webinar if we can get to all of them. Okay, so that's briefly a couple of things I wanted to share about WorkMax time and some things that might benefit you in your organization. Another really big piece that some, but not all of our customers use are the WorkMax forms. This is commonly used because of how valuable they are to different organizations to be able to capture data in the field, specifically surrounding things like change orders, expense report reimbursements, where you're taking photos of the receipts and having those submitted electronically. If you need to capture where you're doing any sort of inspections, or if you need to fill out specific reports daily, maybe JSAs, or if you need to be able to document things like auto accidents, really common, where you want your employees to follow a specific kind of process on how they fill that out, make sure they're capturing the correct information. WorkMax is fabulous in the WorkMax forms, and then it is really easy for you to link any of these to the WorkMax time so that you can require that these forms are filled out in the mobile app on a either daily or frequent basis when you want those to be filled out. So they can be attached to a clock in or a clock out. Jumping past the WorkMax forms, I wanted to touch briefly on the WorkMax assets. In WorkMax, we can help you track everything from big to small. That you're not limited by heavy equipment. You're not limited whether these are vehicles. You can track small things like ladders or welders or generators, or even small things like tablets or diagnostic tools where you want to know where they're assigned or who they're assigned to. Really easy to be able to see that in WorkMax and be able to adjust that even on the mobile app. And a lot of organizations also want to track usage on their equipment. This could be for tax purposes, it could be for job costing purposes, or billing purposes. So if you want to make sure you're appropriately billing for that piece of equipment, you can track that usage in WorkMax as well. Where I want to spend a significant portion of our time together today is on WorkMax Insight, and that is on being able to capture productivity and progress data from the field. So we can see in real time how we're doing. Are we ahead of schedule? Are we behind schedule? Where are the specific areas on that job or cost codes where we might need to do a little bit better, where we might need to work harder or put more resources so that we can finish that time or finish that job on time and in budget. So I'm going to jump directly over to my screen here in WorkMax. This is a productivity screen for one job. This is our FedEx office job. You'll be able to see we're doing really well on this job because I have not yet put on all the appropriate data. But you'll be able to see all the details as we scroll down, and we'll be able to look at our productivity table. We'll be able to see here all the specific cost codes how many are allocated in terms of budget for hours and units. WorkMax, we focus on hours and units and not dollars and cents. So you'll be able to not only use this data in the field, but also share it with a lot of your employees in the field who you might be worried about sharing the dollars and cents with. But now we'll be able to review, hey, how many hours have been used, how many units have been completed. That'll show us then how many we have remaining in the budget, what's the current pace, what's the pace needed to complete this on time, and then how we're trending overall. So I want to show you how we would capture this data in the field on my mobile device. So I'm going to pull my cell phone again over here so you can see what's going on my mobile device. And I'm going to come in as a foreman. This is really common for organizations to capture this data on Insight this way, where I'll be able to see, hey, how am I doing on this job overall? And I can enter production units or what we completed today. The most common way to do that is to come under Insight here and be able to open a productivity sheet. You'll see that this will actually update in real time on what's been completed on that job. So whether you're entering hours after the fact in a timesheet or you're having employees clock in and out in real time, that data will be updated here on what's been completed on that job. I entered some hours just quickly in a timesheet before we started this webinar so you could see how those would show up here. You'll see on our first cost code pruning, we have 32 hours that have been completed today, okay? I'm going to be able to come in here and enter, hey, these are the number of units we completed today. And I'm going to say we completed 7, or let's do 7 units. Then we're going to come down here to a sod and turf. We'll see that there were 8 total hours worked today. I'm going to come in here and say we completed 5 units today. I can easily do this in the field as a foreman or a superintendent. I'm going to be able to save that here on my mobile device, and those units will then be able to go back up to my WorkMax website, where I'll be able to review my productivity and be able to update that so I can see in real time, hey, how are we doing? How are we doing on our estimated versus actual based on us capturing not only the hours in the field, but also the applicable units in the field as we go through that process. And if you have any questions, please put that in the chat or in the questions area, and I will make sure that I try to get those questions answered before we finish the end of this webinar. Okay, so now we're going to jump over to the website where our data will flow back in to the website, and we'll be able to see here in real time that data as it's updated. So we'll now be able to see as we look in here on what units were complete. As we look at sod and turf, we'll see that we now completed 5 units, and it has adjusted all of our numbers. And as we scroll down here, I'm looking at pruning, and we'll see that we completed 7 units. Those are the ones I just entered in on the mobile device. So if I need to click even on that specific cost code, I can drill down into the cost code and look at not only my budget, but also my pace. We can look at what's completed on hours and units to see how we're trending overall. And if you even want to track this, and I didn't really show this on the mobile device, but you can easily do this on the mobile device, is go in and put in an estimated percent complete. That's where you may be tracking those specific numbers, but you also want to have kind of an eyeball view where you have your superintendent or a project manager go back and review that and say, hey, how did we do? Okay, it looks like we're 65% done. And they can go back in and you can review that and see. see if you're close based on the numbers that were provided as well. Also, one thing that I did not really mention earlier, or you may not be aware of, is as part of Insight, in addition to having our productivity dashboard and being able to see the data as it comes back into WorkMax, we do have access to our custom reports. So under WorkMax, we do have a custom reports engine where you can capture data from anywhere in WorkMax and pull that together into specific custom reports. So I had one organization I was working with where they actually wanted to know exactly what it cost them to complete one unit. This particular organization was installing doors. They mostly worked with installers of new doors in residential housing projects. And he wanted to say, hey, based on what I'm paying this specific carpenter or employee to install a door and how long it takes him to do that, what does it actually cost? We were able to pull all of that data into WorkMax, into our custom reports engine here, and even calculate what the cost was per door installed per employee. So it allows us to really dig into the details. And if you're the type of organization or person that wants to dig into the details, really look at specific reports and look at the data in specific ways, you will definitely want to look at the WorkMax custom reports. And also, if you do have requirements in your organization that certain C-level employees or executives or even field employees need specific reports, you can use our scheduled reports, which are part of our custom reports engine, to schedule reports so that they are delivered on a monthly or a weekly basis or on whatever schedule that you need to set up so that they are receiving those reports when they need to. Those can automatically be emailed on those specific scheduled times. Okay, if you want to go into any other specific areas, I'm happy to do that. Please do put a question or a request into either our questions or chat area, and I'm happy to review that as well. Okay, quickly on the WorkMax forms. Yeah, I can go into more detail on the forms. On the forms, we have the ability to not only create new forms, but to review any of the completed forms as they have flowed back into the WorkMax website. All of those will automatically flow back in here into the website, and you can review those whether they've come in 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, or 2 years ago, because we do save that data going forward. And you can easily go in and review things like this is an injury report that was submitted where you can review photos, whatever their answers were, the signatures, even after the fact. And on building those forms, yes, there are great customization capabilities where you can really dig into the details and build them from scratch. We do provide you with a WorkMax forms library as you add the forms to your WorkMax account. But you may customize any of those forms that are part of the WorkMax forms library and even build whole new forms from scratch. They're very simple. You can do them yourself, where you can easily add specific form objects to your forms here, where I might be creating a really simple and easy new form where I'm capturing data here. I'm requesting here an employee name. If I could type correctly, that would help. Okay, so we're going to capture the employee name. We're going to capture the job. And there is great capabilities in the forms to really dig into the details. So you'll notice as part of these forms, if you want to use things like conditional questions, I can come in here and I can ask, you know, did you fill out the JSA today? Okay, I can ask that question and I can give them options, yes, no. And on our single choice, you're not limited to just 2 options. You could actually even add a third, maybe, but in most cases, I don't recommend you do that because people will select it. Okay, so I've got a yes or no here, but then I might add a follow-up question or maybe ask them to even put in details on why they didn't do something. So I'm gonna put my details here, and I'm gonna only show this if they said they didn't fill out the appropriate safety form. Or I might wanna launch a whole new form based on their answer to this form. So if I say, did you fill out the JSA today? And they say no, in this particular case, I might actually come in here and launch the JSA. So it's when they finish completing this form, the JSA will launch automatically and it will require them to fill out that as part of that process. So there's great flexibility in terms of the forms, how you use them, launching additional questions based on the answers. So it's really common at the end of the day, especially on things like daily reports, to ask a lot of yes or no questions. And then if they answer a specific way, to ask additional questions. So the basic way of filling out that form is super fast. It takes very little time. But if things do happen, you are able to capture that data in the field and get it reported back to the office. And like I said before, yes, you can require these forms at a clock in or a clock out. And then when they are submitted, they can be automatically emailed to the appropriate people, whether that's one or multiple people. And you do have some workflow options there. So you could even set it up, hey, when it was filled out by specific employees, maybe when it was filled out some of these specific employees, it will automatically be emailed to a different set of specific employees. So there's great workflow options that you can kind of build so the data goes and those forms go when they're completed to the appropriate people. Okay, any additional questions about the forms, about digging any more into equipment and assets, or anything about insight and productivity in terms of really being able to capture in the field the production units or what's been completed and seeing that kind of in a scoreboard view in the WorkMax website. Yes, you can. When you go into equipment and assets, you don't have to own all the equipment. Your equipment can also be rented. I'll dig in here and show you here. I might have a piece of equipment here, and you'll see I do have the ability to even store the rental vendor, or if I have a specific return date, that's required as well. Okay, any additional questions about any of the pieces we've discussed, or maybe things we have not that I can dig into and answer for you as part of this webinar? Okay, so I got another question that came in that asked about the ability to review time on the mobile app for multiple devices and not just the device that it was signed on to. Yes, there are plans that is in the roadmap for WorkMax to be able to have those time records come back down to the mobile app, be reviewed by, say, a manager or a foreman without needing to go into the control center. That's not available now. It is on the roadmap for future development, and it is in our plans to have that available. Really, really, really great question. Well, I want to thank everybody for jumping on this webinar. Really appreciate you. Thanks for sending in questions. I want you to make sure that if you have any additional questions, just reach out to me directly. I'm happy to set up one-on-one meetings with you and your organization where I can talk about any of the pieces in WorkMax that you're interested in. If there's any of those that you may want but don't have, please reach out to me directly and I'll work with you to make sure that you can get those in your WorkMax account and do any additional demos I need to for you in your organization. Okay, my contact information is here on the bottom of this screen. You can easily reach me at spencer.pope@workmax.com or even call me directly on my direct number. This will come directly to me. It's 801. Oh, that's actually the wrong number. That's funny. It's 801-948-0519. So thanks again for jumping on the webinar. And if you have any questions, please again, reach out to me via email, spencer.pope@workmax.com.